There is a moment, usually at night, when everything is quiet, the lights are off, and the world slows down just enough for you to notice something subtle but powerful. Your dog choosing to sleep right next to you. Not in another room, not on the floor across the space, but close, sometimes pressed against your legs, sometimes curled beside your chest, sometimes positioned in a way that feels almost intentional, as if that exact spot matters. At first, it might seem like a simple habit, something random or convenient, maybe even just about warmth or comfort, but the truth is far more layered. And once you understand what is actually happening in your dog's mind, that small nightly behavior starts to carry a completely different weight. Because dogs do not choose proximity casually. Every position they take, especially during sleep, when they're at their most vulnerable, is deeply connected to instinct, trust, emotional bonding, and an ancient survival system that still operates beneath all the domestication. And when your dog decides that your side is the safest place in the entire environment, it is not just about liking you. It is about something much deeper, something rooted in how they perceive you, how they feel around you, and what role you play in their world. So if your dog sleeps next to you, the real question is not why do they do it, but what exactly are they trying to say without using words? Because the answer reveals more about your relationship than most people ever realize. When a dog chooses to sleep next to you, the first thing to understand is that this decision is not accidental, nor is it based only on comfort in the physical sense, because in the canine world, proximity is always tied to meaning. Dogs are descendants of pack animals, and even though they now live inside human homes, that internal system never disappeared. It only adapted, which means that where they choose to rest, and more importantly, who they choose to rest beside, reflects how they organize their social world. In a pack structure, sleeping close is not just about resting. It is about alignment, protection, and connection. And this behavior carries into your home in a very quiet but very consistent way. By choosing to sleep next to you, your dog is essentially placing you inside their safe circle, a space that is reserved for individuals they trust deeply and instinctively rely on, especially during moments of vulnerability like sleep. And vulnerability is the key element here. When a dog sleeps, their alertness drops, their reaction time slows, and their ability to respond to threats becomes limited, which means that where they position themselves during this state is a direct reflection of where they feel most secure. So when your dog settles beside you, they're not just seeking warmth or softness. They're choosing the place where their nervous system can fully relax, because your presence signals safety. It is a silent confirmation that, in their mind, being close to you reduces risk. And that alone already says more than most obvious behaviors ever could. Before we go deeper into what this reveals about your bond, it's worth noticing that understanding your dog on this level transforms the way you relate to them. And if you enjoy exploring these hidden layers of canine behavior, staying connected to this kind of content can completely change how you see your relationship over time. Beyond instinct and pack behavior, there's a deeper psychological layer that explains why your dog chooses you specifically, and it is something that closely mirrors what researchers call an attachment bond. Dogs form emotional attachments in a way that is surprisingly similar to human relationships, especially the dynamic between a child and a caregiver, where one figure becomes a safe base, the reference point for security, exploration, and emotional regulation. When your dog sleeps next to you, they're not just expressing comfort, they are reinforcing that attachment, because in their internal map of the world, you are the place they return to when everything else fades into uncertainty. This is why many dogs will follow their owners from room to room during the day. But at night, that behavior becomes even more meaningful, because instead of movement, they choose stillness, and instead of observation, they choose surrender. Sleeping beside you is, in a way, the highest form of trust they can demonstrate. It means they feel safe enough to let go of control. And this trust is not built randomly. It develops through repeated experiences where you provide stability, predictability, and emotional consistency, whether you realize it or not. Your tone of voice, your reactions, your routines, even the way you respond to their needs, all contribute to shaping this perception. So when your dog curls up next to you, and falls into deep sleep, they are not just resting, they're anchoring themselves to the one presence that, in their mind, makes the environment feel stable. And once that bond is established, it becomes something they actively seek, especially in moments of vulnerability. There's another layer to this behavior that often goes unnoticed, and it challenges a very common assumption, which is the idea that your dog sleeps next to you only because they feel protected by you. While that is partially true, the dynamic is not one-sided. In your dog's perception, the act of sleeping close is also a form of guarding, a quiet, instinctive way of staying near the person they consider important, especially during a time when both of you are less alert. Even in deep rest, a dog's senses remain more active than ours, which means they are still processing sounds, movements, and subtle changes in the environment. And by positioning themselves next to you, they're placing themselves in a strategic spot where they can detect anything unusual first. This behavior is not driven by anxiety, but by responsibility. In a pack context, proximity during rest increases collective safety, and your dog carries that same logic into your shared space, treating your presence as something worth monitoring and, if necessary, defending. That is why some dogs instinctively choose positions near doors, at the foot of the bed, or slightly angled toward the room, because even while resting, they're oriented toward awareness. So when your dog sleeps next to you, it is not just about receiving safety, it is also about offering it, in the only way they know how, through presence, positioning, and constant, low-level vigilance. And this creates a silent agreement between both of you, one that does not need to be taught or reinforced, because it is already built into who they are. Once you understand all of this, the behavior stops being something casual and starts to feel like a quiet statement that happens every single night without you even noticing. Because when your dog chooses to sleep next to you, they're not just following a habit, they're repeating a decision, one that is based on everything they have learned about you over time. They're choosing the place where they feel safe enough to disconnect, the presence that allows their body to fully relax, and the person they instinctively include in their inner circle of trust and protection. And this changes the way you see those small moments. The weight of their body against you, the way they adjust to stay close, the subtle movements during the night, all of it starts to carry meaning, because it is no longer just about where they sleep, but about why that place is you. It also becomes a reflection of a relationship you built, not through grand gestures, but through consistency, tone, routine, and the countless interactions that shaped how they perceive the world around them. So the next time your dog settles beside you and slowly drifts into sleep, there is something worth recognizing in that moment. Without words, without effort, and without any need for validation, they're showing you exactly where you stand in their world. And in a way that is completely instinctive, honest, and impossible to fake, they are choosing you again.